Back before 2015, most Roblox games were very differently scripted than today. That's why you'll see some old games that nowadays no longer function. And apparently, coding these same games was way more difficult than today's common scripting. With that in mind, I found several games made in the times between 2008 to 2015 that are extremely well scripted for their era. And obviously, I'll be excluding the games that fall under the write a cart to whatever genre. So let's explore the mystery of forgotten old Roblox games. Despite having only 4 million visits, Disaster Hotel is and was known to be an extremely popular game in the late 2010s, with its peak ending around 2018. But let's go to the beginning. Disaster Hotel's original release date seems to be a little fuzzy. On Roblox's site, it claims to be released on June of 2010, but there's videos on YouTube from April of that same year. This is likely due to the game being replaced by different versions, or just slight glitches. You'll soon see this will be a pattern for most games on this list. Regardless, here's how the game worked. You'd spawn in a base plate very similar to Roblox's old Titanic. Then you'd be able to choose which floor you could go on, but only if that floor still existed. The disasters were the type you'd expect, with the only exceptions being Nuke and Bomber. With Disaster Hotel being extremely popular, copycats soon stole the credit from the original creator. This is likely why the original has so little visits. Personally, I remember how popular the game was back in the day, and for it to die so suddenly most likely means the copycats were removed, leaving the original to be forgotten. And if you look at other disaster games, you could safely assume Disaster Hotel would have still been alive if it wasn't for the copycats. In essence though, it never really died. With several versions of the game still being available, this just confirms the game's lasting impact. Now let's fast forward a bit in time, around when role-playing games were starting to pick up in quality. This is Urbis. It was initially launched in 2014 by Zolerketh, and originally a project of the Roblox Accelerator program. After a period of beta testing, it was fully released in 2016, and oh boy did it blow up. If you have a keen eye, you'll recognize the game's style closely resembles Apocalypse Rising. Well, this is because Zolerketh was a co-dev for the game, reusing most of their assets. But technical parts aside, Urbis was revolutionary in the aspect of roleplay. It was one of the only quality roleplay games that featured the ability to fly a plane, but you'd be working very long hours before you could afford it. Literally. There was multiple jobs in the game, some paying exponentially more than others. As you worked, the experience bar would rise, in turn leveling you up. Higher levels would open up better job opportunities, like a supervisor, nurse, or taxi driver. And did I mention there's a casino with working slots and a roulette table? Yeah, we're getting a gambling addiction with this one. If the creator Zolerketh is watching, please update your game. It's a true gem. Around the era when game titles were basically the description for games, we have Zombies Are Attacking McDonald's. It was initially released in 2008, but I'm assuming it didn't get popular until mid-2012, going off the original trailer release date. Oh, by the way, we'll be calling it ZAM for short. You probably recognize the game better in its 2015 version, and luckily for us, we can visit each version independently. If we go to the first ever video on ZAM, which was actually its 2008 trailer, under its comment section, you'll see the creator, Bobby Sayhi, decided to release 6 different versions as part of its legacy. Going to its first version, you can tell it resembles more of a draft rather than a game. And I'm not just saying that because everything is, well, broken, mostly in part because of its unfinished nature. Moving on to their second and third game, they closely resemble each other, besides the new city update and gun system in the third one. And oh cool, Shaletsky's here. In my opinion, and probably yours too, ZAM 4 and ZAM 5 were the best versions, only because they offered the most refined mechanics. I mean, look at this gun system. Show me one game where it gets better than this. You literally can't. In addition to this story, there were 5 more trailers released, one being part of a contest for the second game, another created for the third game, and 3 more being basically passion projects. The The final game in this saga is Zombies Are Attacking McDonalds. Yeah. Just to clarify, these 5 other separate games are not the actual original. They're just the legacy for people to remember. The true original is Rodonalds. On the topic of destroying things, I bring you Nuke The Whales by Shaletsky. The official release date seems to be unknown, as it states to be released in 2008 on the website and 2006 on the official wiki. But I found 2 of the oldest YouTube videos on the game dating all the way back to 2009, which likely suggests 2008 is the original release date. Though in one of the video's comment sections, it mentioned something about a 2013 version of the game. Not to mention, there's a video posted by Shaletsky advertising the game in August of that same year, most likely meaning there were 2 different versions of the game. Now let's get to the mechanics. The main objective is to nuke the whales, obviously, and collect their blubber. You must collect as much blubber as you can before the end of the match, competing with other players who are doing the same thing. But during the older version of the game, the amount of blubber used to contribute to the power of your rockets, shown in these screenshots here. It's unknown if rocket power still correlates to how much blubber you have. Game mechanics aside, you must be very curious as to how and why this game even exists. Well, back in 1977, Save the Whales campaign was started due to the overpopulation of the ocean and the massive overfishing epidemic. Roughly 20 years later, The Simpsons... You know what? Let me just show you the clip.
Nuke the whales? You don't really believe that, do you?
I don't know. Gotta nuke something.
And that's how the beautiful game Nuke the Whales came into fruition. During the early days of technology, around the 80s to 90s, flight simulators were just starting to take effect on new computer systems. In 1979 specifically, the first flight sim was released on the Apple computer, originally founded by the company Sublogic. Then 3 years later, Microsoft picked up the rights to the game. Several others continued to evolve during this era. So with this information in mind, it's no surprise that in July of 2008, the first ever flight simulator was released on Roblox. Created by the owner of Tradelands, I bring you Wingz World, also known as Wingz World 4 or 5. With it being the first true simulator on Roblox and being easily accessible to all flight fanatics, it quickly blew up in popularity. In the older version, you were able to walk around with your character and actually sit down in the plane seats. But in the newer version, it's more like a true flight simulator due to the fact you don't have a physical character in the game. In February of 2014, Wingz World database was wiped, in addition to no longer saving progress. This effectively tanked the player base, and in 2021, developer HyperAnt, creator of Rise of Nations, decided to remake Wingz World under the name Aeronautica. Going to Wingz World today, you'll see Aeronautica listed in its description, showing that the developers have no intention to continue development. Back when board games were still widely used, some of the most popular ones were actually RPG games. And this would later transfer over to the online world, with games like Baldur's Gate, RuneScape, EarthBound, and many, many more. And just like any other game, Roblox wasn't exempt from this cultural phenomenon. In November 2008, development began on what's widely considered the first RPG game on Roblox, The Tales of Range's Cape RPG, later being fully released around late 2009. The game mechanics for Range's Cape were pretty advanced for the era. The game featured 5 different quests of varying difficulty, each one having you travel to a different location doing a certain task. Not to mention, they had 45 different monsters of varying difficulty. There was also a game save system that required you to copy and paste a load code, which could be any arrangement of numbers and letters. Unfortunately, this would be abused. Players would just copy and paste other load codes to get a high level or a bunch of items. Around 2020, the game began to die due to competition and lack of updates. This was roughly when things started to fizzle out. Most of the games on this list were once popular at a time, but then died due to complications. If you have any forgotten games you'd like featured in the next video, please leave a suggestion in the pinned comment. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.